that dude he's next. He is, in terms of, as long as the maturity comes along and he ain't getting teched up or, turning into Sean Kemp Jr. or something like that outside the court, if you know what I mean. This dude has a chance to be the next mega star in the NBA.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, SGA, right? And it's funny, some of the comments about Anthony Edwards talking about sort of not wanting to be that role model, not wanting to be that guy, but it's just a whole package, right? And I think SGA is going to elevate himself in this postseason because there's still, OKC is still a little bit of a hidden market, still sort of in middle of the country. There's not a lot of televised games in the right window. So I'm looking forward to watching him play more. But when I look at that series, right, I'll probably be rooting for Minnesota ultimately, but I do think, and you're right, as you think about it from the Celtics standpoint, you don't got to worry about that until you sort of get there. Yeah. But I do think depending on that matchup, it could be a big, Minnesota could be a very difficult team for the Celtics in that realm, perhaps, I think, matchup.
Yeah, because they have a mofo, and that is Anthony Edwards. Like, he's one of those guys who will, now the other thing too is, you can take advantage of that. He will get frustrated. He will make stupid plays. He will get teed up every once in a while. So you can't make it work against you. I'm torn, Jay, because Ant-Man was really amazing. And it makes me think he's going to find a way to get them past Golden State and all those olds. And then I look, and if I hear that old Jim Butler is healthy, he's the kind of guy who wants to press the buttons of a young player like
bingo.
So
bingo. You took it out of my head.
I kind of talked myself into Golden State there. If Jimmy Butler gets like hurt and misses a couple games in this series, then forget about it. They don't have that kind of antagonist. Jimmy Butler has the Rodney Harrison personality. And that's good and bad. But there's a way more bunch of good that comes with the little bit of bad that would be with Jimmy Butler, because sometimes he gets a little too emotional. But him chirping Dylan Brooks in Game 6, I don't know if you saw that.
I love it.
It was great stuff. Yep. I got big respect for old Jim.
I do too, but Rodney Harrison would never disrupt locker rooms in any way. Yeah, maybe. Well, Gresh knows some inside information.
No, I don't. I'm only messing with you on this. No. Rodney was one of those guys that everybody liked, but they recognize that he's a dick. And if you ever meet him,
exactly.
He's a dick. That's all it is. He's just a dick. That's all.
And he does some work with Mike Florio, who I know is not your favorite guy, but Mike Florio is my favorite guy. And Mike Florio and Rodney go at it sometimes. Rodney's the type. Rodney reminds me a lot of Dominic Cruz. If you say something to Rodney, a little bit, just sort of tongue in cheek or whatever it is, he's going to hold you to every word that comes out of your mouth.
Oh, I like that. What a comparison there. That's a good call.
We haven't talked about the Nuggets and Oklahoma City. I'm a little surprised. Denver plus 475, OKC minus 700. Love that we get this series. I know it's not the major story, but I do love Russell Westbrook going back to OKC. I love me some Russell Westbrook, regardless of where his game is at this stage of his career. Gosh, man, I'm going to be rooting for Denver. Everybody just thinks OKC is the tits. Your thoughts?
I think Denver winning a couple games in this series, wherever you can find the value on that. Like you had mentioned about whoever it was, maybe the Knicks at over a game and a half or 2.5, whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah, I think you can lock in some of those with Denver. I think Denver is going to give Oklahoma City fits. Now, the issue is, do they have somebody to match up against SGA? Like, for example, you mentioned Russell Westbrook, right? He used to play defense. But is there something in Russell Westbrook that can come out in this series that would allow them to maybe slow down SGA a little bit in some way, shape, or form? My guess is no, they don't. And it's really got to be Jokic related. But that's also the scary thing. Who's got the better group of people around them in terms of a superstar? If I look at SGA and I look at Jokic and I start looking at the rest, it's almost like SGA versus Jokic in some ways. So I think Denver is very live in this series. And if you're going to bet them now, because if they go out and steal game 1, that series number probably goes down into the low 300s, I would think. So this is where you're going to get your best value going into the series, because everybody is just in love with OKC. I think it's more of the betting markets love Oklahoma City, and that's why you see such a big number on Denver that I think is very juicy, very juicy.
I hear you. I will say, the Nuggets going through a hard-fought 7-game series as the less deep team coming in against OKC. The more I think about this, I while we expect a great series, I think the other side of the Western Conference bracket may give us a better series. I like OKC pretty heavily in this series, if I'm being honest with you.
Wow.
Even though
Okay.
the more I think about it, right? I haven't given it great thought. I don't have any action down now. But it wouldn't surprise me if OKC sort of wins 2 at home, goes to Denver, gets 1, and closes it out game 5 at home.
Interesting.
All right. Let's get off the round ball for a second. Celtics play tonight. Let's go back to the beginning of the board, talk about Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson a little bit. We didn't talk about that last week, right? Gosh, man, what I'll say just starting out the gate, and then I want your thoughts. But Cody Merrow, our producer, knows this very well about me as a 46-year-old man. I've been leaning on young people as I get older my whole life, right? Like, I can't tell you how many conversations Cody and I have had, and I've known Cody 3-4 years now, when he's in his late 20s, and I'm like, I trust you more than me because you're living in this world, right? And so I do think there are a lot of things about the relationship between Belichick and Jordan Hudson that are probably great for him professionally and personally, right? But it certainly has become a bit of a shit show. So talk to me. I'm sure you've been talking about it all weekend.
Well, I need a minute to almost opine on this, right? Because, Jay, here's the thing. Bill Belichick has always been first and foremost around his football programs about control, right? The Patriots basically invented how you cover camps and practices. Jay, they used to give us a big sheet and say, here are the rules and the regulations for being at practice, right? And for those who don't know, it got so ridiculous at one point that when I was off, when Fourier and I were down there last, which was like 2 years ago, we had some kid out of school who was running our Twitch stream. And on his personal account, he posted video of a fight that went down in practice.